How will the increasing AI integration into various sectors and industries are shaping the job skills in different markets? So, what is your take on this?
So specifically, when it comes to AI, there's a lot of democratization that's happening. So people historically that had to have PhDs in machine learning and other complicated skill sets are now more readily able to start working on these things. You don't have to have 10 years of academic education to get started. It's very similar to back in the day when computers came out and then people started writing software. You had to learn about binary, you have to set up your own servers, but now people can just spin up an instance in Google or AWS and quickly build an application from their garage or their home. I think the same thing is happening with AI, where you don't need billions of data points and you don't need to be able to have a lot of infrastructure readily available. So their accessibility is something that I feel is becoming more and more prevalent when it comes to AI. Now, when we look at outside of engineering roles, I believe that those that are working with AI are going to have a significant advantage. So what I mean by that is I don't think AI will replace you, but those that are using AI will replace you. So for me, it's very simple that if you are a marketer, if you're a designer, and if you can use tools to come up with 20 versions, 20 variations and work on that, versus someone that's not using technology, you're going to have a huge leg up. So people are going to have to learn how to use and incorporate it into their day-to-day work. So not just the programmers, but also the non-engineering roles as well.
So this is quite interesting, but it also have its own consequences. Like it comes with some risk, uncertainty. According to you, what are the risks and uncertainties are coming along while adopting AI in the workplace?
Specifically in the workplace and specifically for the employees that are there, the rate of change is rapid right now. So AI is moving at the rate of every few months there's a new change, new update. Can we catch up and keep up with it is the real big challenge. So it's not just reskilling, but also upskilling of talent. And folks that are able to get used to that and be able to learn for those changes, it's really important. And unlike other industries where change happens over a span of years, decades, this is happening very quickly. So in order to prevent job displacement, employees, employers, they all have to work together. In fact, there needs to be more investment in education, certification. Those sort of things are going to be very important. Now, if we look at organizational risk, the most important thing with AI will be how are you able to control it for the specific use cases that you use it? How do enterprises, especially CIOs that I talk to, think about privacy and how do I control the data and what we do with it? You don't want the AI to make things up. You don't want it to lie. So how do you trust that? So there needs to be a level of both from a development point of view, but also from how customers adopt it. Like there's going to be a lot of skeptical people, but we have to approach that part slowly and gradually and have many guardrails in place. I don't think there's some form of AI that's going to just completely eliminate jobs or take over some, at least not in the next 10, 15 years from what I can see with the technology that's out there today. But organizations have to really focus on trust, security, policy, and manage the tools in that manner.
So how can organization develop their mitigation strategy for that?
One of the things that we at Fireflies did that I think is giving power back to the end users and organizations is we announced something called private storage. So a lot of large language models and AI is trained on customer data. And a lot of companies, in order to build their AI capabilities, are training on customer data, sometimes without giving explicit consent. And that I feel is problematic. So we took a very progressive step and said that you own your data and you can choose to contain your data wherever you want, and we will not train on your data by default. And so if organizations want to store all their AI processing data in a specific place, they can do that. We also have specific enterprise level contracts in place with one of the leading AI vendors like OpenAI, which released ChatGPT, where we have a zero data retention policy. So they're not allowed to train or retain any of our customer data. So that mitigates a lot of the risk. The thing that I would say is when organizations, big and small, are using tools developed by maybe really small companies who don't have this sort of risk and compliance structure in place, you don't know what's happening with that data. So always make sure you have visibility and make sure they have the guardrails in place. If they're sending all of that data to some LLM that's being trained and you have no idea that your sensitive conversational data or whatever data, work data is being used, that's a risk. So first and foremost, that's like one way you can mitigate it, is having policies, having like this by default no training approach. And then there will be customers who will actually specifically come to us and say, please do train on our data, but in a certain manner and keep it private and only on our data. So they're willing to pay more for that, right? So you have to give customers the power and the choice first.
That's quite insightful, but it's a part of organization perspective. Also, there's a side individually. In what ways can individuals use AI or leverage AI for their personal career development or skill development or career growth?
I personally have used tools like ChatGPT and Anthropic, which is another AI model, so much in the last couple months, at least once or twice a day. I think my ability to learn information and absorb information has gone up drastically, from me being able to put in legal documents and say, help me understand these legal terms, break it down, simplify it, to helping me plan out a workout or helping me schedule my trip to India. I've literally done all of these things through the help of ChatGPT and some of these things. So if people can have guided assistant, I think there's going to be so much benefits that'll come from using AI. Because before you had to go do a search and like you have to scrape all this information from Google and understand and put up a plan together. Now AI can get you directly to the answer and learn more about how to do things. So even if I remember watching a documentary some time ago, and I love history, so I wanted to learn about all the rulers and kings that preceded, and I was just able to put that query in and I got that information. If I had to do that manually, it would take me maybe 15-20 minutes of reading Wikipedia and all these other places. So the ability for people to learn is going to be so powerful. So I think AI in general in the personal space, especially education, ed tech, is going to be massive because everyone has a different style of learning. And if we can personalize teaching down to the individual and the way they learn, AI can do that at scale. So instead of having one teacher, we can have 100 teachers for 100 students. So that seems very promising to me in terms of academics, education, and even just personal development.
So AI is a boon if you take it positively.
Yeah.
So further, I would like to ask, are there any sectors or industries which you can mention that have provide availability of increasing in job availability due to AI interaction rather than replacing the existing jobs?
Right. So I'll start with the last part first. So there is a common fear that what happens when certain jobs are being taken up by AI? Will there be job displacement? And this goes back to the upskilling and reskilling thing. So one of the things, I'll just use my own company as an example, a lot of people fear that customer support jobs will be replaced by AI and support will be automated completely. In my opinion, we've implemented some support level automation stuff which helps us reduce our ticket volume by 50%. And then the AI very well understands and answers these things. But what we're doing simultaneously is upskilling and reskilling our support agents to become account managers. And so there is going to be an immense emphasis in the world of automation and everything is AI. Human touch, personalization, personability, conversations, those are never going to be replaced because I believe that humans want to interact and buy from other humans. So a lot of the information will be available, but when it comes to closing deals, making decisions, partnerships, all of those sort of soft touch skills that we think were not that important in the past are going to become even more important in this day and age. So AI, specifically in the areas of sales, customer support, it will automate some of the mundane tasks of sending emails and sending notifications and like follow-ups and answering basic inquiries, tickets, those sort of things. But anyway, today people are inundated with a lot of spam, right? You will get like a call like from caller ID 100 times from a human manually trying to do that. But instead, if AI can help you get the information you need that's relevant and then hand that off to a human, that interaction will be much more pleasurable, both for the person being forced to make those phone calls and the person being forced to take those phone calls.
Well, that's quite interesting. Now it brings me to my next question. And so, what are the innovative AI-driven projects that your organization is currently working on to enhance productivity and collaboration within the workplace?
For us, we believe that AI can unlock tremendous amount of knowledge from conversations. So that's where we started with Fireflies. And for a lot of end users that use Fireflies today, it helps them be present on meetings, especially interviews, sales calls, even internal meetings. They don't have to have a pen and paper and write things down. So that's what most people know Fireflies for, is an AI note taker that people can use on their meetings. But if you go beyond that, I believe that all of the conversations that we have is really the knowledge of an organization. So I believe recently it was Shopify that released a thing that said they're reducing the number of meetings they have and how expensive meetings are for an organization. 4 people together in a meeting, it costs several $1,000s. And so in my opinion, every meeting that Fireflies is transcribing, taking notes for, and making it searchable is worth thousands of dollars of value to an organization. So what we're working on is how do we take all of those individual meeting notes, transcription, and create that searchable knowledge base so that you know the voice of your customers, the voice of your candidates, and the voice of your colleagues, all the knowledge in one central place. So that's really the 3 C's that form the knowledge of your company. So a lot of really cool technology that we're working on is you being able to directly ask, instead of having to go back and re-listen to this interview or skim the transcript, you can directly ask, what are Krish's thoughts on privacy in AI? And it'll go in and come up with an answer and provide it to you, right? Saves you some time. So I really believe AI will become like teammates and agents. So every team will have an AI assistant or many AI assistants that'll be helping facilitate work. In my own way, I have like a personal assistant that if we were to meet again 6 months from now, 1 hour before the meeting, it'll send me a reminder telling me, hey, this is what you guys discussed in your last interview. This was really important. This is some things you wanted to follow up on in your next interaction. So that sort of stuff, like where we're giving everyone their personal assistant or chief secretary, not just the executives and CEOs. So that's the work we're really focused on here at Fireflies.
Thank you so much. All answers were so insightful. I'm happy to be here with you.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for being here for so much.
Of course, yeah.
Thank you.